Hello, everybody. Welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom, and you are watching the Saturday Shortlist with WhatAcca.com. I am here with Matthew from WhatAcca to discuss our picks for the coming weekend, and we're going to be following them on the Saturday Superstream. But we're interrupting your holiday. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, up in Alnwick, I've been looking at lots of castles, but we're coming towards the end of the holiday. It's quite a cold, I mean, it looks quite sunny here, but it's actually quite a cold, windy, typical northeast coast sort of day. So I'm quite glad to be back here and cut short sort of a day at the local garden. So I'm more than happy to talk football.
This is commitment, Matthew. Very, very good commitment. I tell you what, your commitment has been rewarded. I think we're officially in form here. I've got notes that Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, winners on all 4 days are 4-1, and 11-2, and 9-2, 6-1 on Wednesday on both teams to score Acca as well. So it's been going well.
Yeah, they all came in late on Wednesday night. The Manchester United equaliser, Stoke City scored that late.
You weren't panicked at all, were you?
Nah, to be honest, I'd actually written it off last night, and then I kind of checked one more time, and there was this like snowfall of goals. I couldn't believe it. Sometimes you just get those. That's the good thing about both teams to score. It's never over until it's over.
It's never over. I was down at Fulham on Wednesday, and we saw all those goals flashing in, and a couple of 10-man victories as well, which is a bit of a rarity. Yeah. So we are here to shortlist Saturday's action. So Matthew, before we start, can you just quickly remind us the 3 Accas that go down the WhatAcca.com mailing list every Saturday?
Yeah, on Saturdays, we're going to send all of our readers, we'll send you a win treble, a both teams to score treble, and we'll also send you a big money accumulator with some other unique selections, some of which might be discussed on this show, some of which might not. And we'll put them all together, and hopefully we'll continue to have what's already looking like a fantastic week for all our readers and subscribers.
So this podcast is an accompaniment to the newsletter. You can follow that directly. You can maybe lean into a little bit what we say and discuss. But, of course, we will be looking at information and goings on right up until Saturday morning. We're recording on Thursday here. So, Matthew, do you want to get involved? We're going to start with the win Acca. And I think this is going to become a bit of a catchphrase on this show. What have you got for me?
Well, I am a glutton for punishment, Benjamin, and I'm going up against Bristol City last week, even though they beat Middlesbrough, which was one of our fancies. The reason why I'm opposing Bristol City is quite simple. They obviously concede an awful lot of goals. And even though they beat Borough last week, we know Borough had
8 big chances, right?
Yeah, Forest had Middlesbrough just sort of somebody said that they're peppering it more than my beef stew or something that one of the commentators said, which I thought was good. But yeah, Forest have won their 6 of the last 9 matches, including that 4-1 win over Leicester. Before the 2-2 draw against Stoke, they had 4 consecutive home wins. Bristol City have lost 10 of their 16 away games this season. They've lost 4 of the last 5 away games. Like we said, Swansea had 6 shots on target against them. Borough had 10 shots on target last week. And Bristol City have not kept a clean sheet in the last 14 matches. So we just can make a case, I think, for Forest outscoring Bristol City on Saturday. What do you think, Benjamin?
Yeah, it's interesting with Forest, isn't it? Because we had the postponement debacle, essentially, didn't we, last Friday with their game against Bournemouth got called off, and they weren't very happy about it at all. Did play in midweek and drew 0-0, didn't they? So we don't have a great barometer for Forest, but we do have a good barometer for Bristol City, where we know it's very chaotic and it's very goal heavy, often in their own net. And I'm going to go back to something you said earlier. It's not over till it's over. It's never over till it's over with Bristol City. They love a late goal, but I hate to say it, more often than not, in their own net. So we will park that one on the I'm very interested pile, I think.
Okay. Well, I've got one other championship pick in my win Acca list. And it's with a heavy heart. I don't want to kick a team when they're down, and they're not down just yet, but Derby County, I've got to go against Derby County for Saturday's game at Kenilworth Road. Partially because I just don't think Derby are great on the road this season, as they've already proven. But also, I just think Luton, one of the form teams in the Championship at the moment, really going along very swimmingly at the moment. They followed up that win over West Brom last weekend with a win at Stoke during the week. They've won 10 of the last 14 matches now. They've won 5 of the last 6 home games, including that win against the Baggies. Derby, they've lost the last 4 away games. They lost 2-1 at home to Millwall on Wednesday night. They've now conceded 13 goals in 7 games. The money has already started to come for Luton after last night's games, or should I say Wednesday night's games. And I really quite fancy Luton to sort of home banker material for me. This is what it looks like to me, Benjamin. What does it look like to you?
Some results, they just feel like it's more than the actual result. It's been a really bad midweek for Derby, hasn't it? Reading have now got John Swift and Lucas Zhao back, and they are scoring goals. They've won 2 games. So Derby are now 8 points adrift. And you just, with these teams chasing these points deductions, you just know that the confidence is always 1 game away from just being completely wrecked, because it's on such a knife edge anyway. And that's not even parlaying into the fact that Luton are good, aren't they? And I didn't realise it was 10 wins in 14. That's tremendous form, isn't it? It's based on the Kenny, isn't it? And the home form, like you said, 5 wins and 6. The only fly in the ointment is Derby are good defensively, but I believe Tom Lawrence will still be banned as well, won't he? So they'll be a bit blunted up front. So I like it. I'm trying to work out whether I like it more than Nottingham Forest, Bristol City. I think I do like it more than Nottingham Forest, Bristol City, possibly just purely on the basis of how unpredictable Bristol City are. We know what Derby are going to do. Whether it works or not, and whether it will beat Luton is a different matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to curry any favour with Derby fans being pro-Forest and anti-Derby in the space of 2 selections. But there we go. I'll stay away from
the table is very pro-Forest and anti-Derby, unfortunately, for Derby fans. But we love them, and completely equally over here at WhatAcca, don't we?
Well, I love Derby a little bit more, if truth be known. But anyway, we'll drop down to League One, and I'm going to make a really strong case for Cheltenham Town, who are in excellent form, against Crewe Alexandra, who are definitely not in excellent form. Cheltenham recently beat Sunderland and Fleetwood at home. They had that crazy 5-5 draw at Wycombe, and then they showed some defensive steel against your boys Ipswich. Crewe have now lost 7 matches on the bounce. They've only scored 2 goals in 8 games. So 1 might just be enough for Cheltenham and Michael Duff is certainly capable of engineering that type of victory against the Railway Men. We think Cheltenham at sort of 1.75 on the decimal looks like a good accumulator pick to us.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Totally agree. Obviously, scuppered my lot and probably scuppered a few coupons on in midweek with that 0-0. Can I say, ahead of the Saturday Super Stream partnered with WhatAcca, Alfie May of Cheltenham is going to go on the Mount Rushmore for his 4 goals last week. He will be on the Saturday Super Stream Mount Rushmore. So, yeah, you can check out that type of nonsense with me from 2:30 on Saturday. No, I'm right next to you. That's my favourite pick of yours so far. Cheltenham, I think people see the name and think, rightly or wrong, now they think Cheltenham.
Unfashionable.
Quite. We looked through on the Blue Monday podcast that I'm on prior to the Ipswich game. I think they lost 1 in 9, and they've played Sunderland, Ipswich, and Wigan, I think, in those times as well. And I think they're better than people, or perhaps better than 15th in the table looks at the moment. I think that'll trend up, and I'm with you. I'm with your pick there, Matthew.
Yeah, I think they're just in a different place to Crewe right now. 4th pick number 4 is Portsmouth to beat Fleetwood at similar odds. Pompey are building up a bit of a head of steam at the moment. They came from behind to win at Shrewsbury during the week. They're 9 points off the playoffs with games in hand. Danny Cowley will want to keep the winning trend going against the Cod Army. Fleetwood have conceded 28 goals in 15 away games. We talked last week about Fleetwood's sort of porous defence. They haven't had a match in a couple of weeks, Fleetwood,
no.
and I always think when there's been a bit of a gap in play, I don't think that favours a team. It's not a case of being well rested. I think they're more likely to be ring rusty. Fleetwood, no win in 6, sort of teetering just above the relegation zone. And Pompey didn't play, I don't think, last week, but they obviously say they've they've got some wins on the board and they're looking up.
It's a great debate, that rusty or rested. We have that come up a lot when, particularly in the COVID cancellation days. I'm looking at it. I have, and I don't know how you feel about this, I have found Pompey a bit distrustworthy sometimes. Less so than Bristol City, who we were talking about earlier, who literally could do anything, couldn't they? But I think I'm with you. It just depends on that rusty or rested with the Cod Army, doesn't it?
Yeah, I saw Tranmere play against Rochdale sort of sometime in January it was, and Rochdale hadn't played for something silly like a bit longer than Fleetwood hadn't, for like maybe 3 weeks, or, with all the COVID postponements and stuff. And we were 2 goals up very quickly in that game, and a lot of the Robbie Stockdale alluded to that after the game. So I tend to veer that I think a team needs games as well, or they're just not quite in sync anymore.
100%. What do we got next, Matthew?
Going over to Hillsborough, two teams in completely different places here. Sheffield Wednesday go up against Charlton. We're going to go for Sheffield Wednesday at 1.85 on the decimal. The Owls have won 5 of their last 6 League One games before losing at home to Rotherham recently. They'd won 4 on the bounce at Hillsborough. Charlton are just absolutely sort of bottomed out recently under Johnny Jackson, which is
why is that?
I'm not quite sure. I don't really understand. They had no shots on target when losing 2-0 against MK Dons. They lost 4-0 against Oxford. They, for some reason, have just dropped away when they looked as though they could be a sniff. And there's just a feeling that they've lost their way, and they've lost 9 of their 16 away games this season. So I just think that it's a case of the 2 teams being in different places, a bit like Cheltenham and Crewe, which was one of the other earlier picks as well. And I think Wednesday are a team upon which you can rely. 5 out of 6 tells its own story.
Yeah, Sheffield Wednesday are the team that when anyone's talking about the League One playoffs and it's, you've got to watch out for, Sheffield Wednesday ends that sentence. In deference to Charlton, Matthew, the run of 4 straight defeats, there has been Bolton, Wigan, Oxford and MK in there who are all good sides. But then you would bracket Wednesday in with those sides, which would kind of imply, especially with it being an away game. I have to put my Ipswich hat on. We went up there and lost 1-0. We've been playing well, and it didn't really give us anything. So I like it. Yeah, I like it. Wednesday, Charlton. Good.
Starting to look good then for the old treble. Last pick to throw into the mix is down to League 2. I'm going to go for Port Vale to beat Stevenage, out of form Stevenage. Now, Port Vale are unbeaten in 7 games. They've had 2 wins and 5 draws. That doesn't look very good from a WhatAcca perspective. However, 3 of their draws have been against Forest Green, Northampton and Tranmere. They outplayed Forest Green and Northampton at home and drew 1-1 against Forest Green, 0-0 against Northampton. They were a 90th minute equaliser away from winning at Rochdale midweek. Stevenage are all at sea under Paul Tisdale. They've had 3 defeats and 2 draws in their past 5 matches. It should have been 4 defeats, but they managed to somehow nick a point away to Crawley when 2-0 down with 10 minutes left. They had a hammering home defeat against Bristol Rovers during the week, where the Gas had 12 shots on target. Stevenage are to be opposed. Port Vale is to be supported at Vale Park, and we think this is a valiant bet. What do you think?
Well, first of all, I think Forest Green is a swear word with me after last weekend. But as ever, I'll bow to your superior knowledge on League 2. But essentially what we're doing here is we're stacking up Stevenage, Charlton and Fleetwood and kind of making a comparison across them. And again, I would defer to you on that. Maybe our final pick, we're kind of looking at, is it Fleetwood, is it Stevenage that we're backing to lose, basically, rather than the other team to win? It sometimes comes down to that, doesn't it?
It's like SWOT analysis, isn't it? With marketing, it's strengths, weaknesses, and you know, it's not a question. It's a question of getting against a team sometimes instead of being strongly pro a team. I think out of all those 6 selections, Benjamin, I think we're completely both sold on Cheltenham to beat Crewe, aren't we?
Agreed.
So we're going to hit Cheltenham, and then the one that you were not sure about but I think we were not sure about Portsmouth. So shall we draw a line through Portsmouth for our rock solid treble?
Do I trust Portsmouth less than Sheffield Wednesday? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
If it's a direct comparison, they're in League One. So I think I'm with you on that one.
Okay. So my 3, and you can disagree with this, my 3 would be Luton, Cheltenham, and either Port Vale or Sheffield Wednesday. Because I just don't feel like Forest have got enough wins under their belt recently, or they just haven't got that winning habit enough for me to really. The Championship I'm always a bit wary of anyway. So
can I throw something at you to think about?
Ooh,
How would you feel about Pompey, Wednesday, and Port Vale? I just have a small little worry that Wayne Rooney and Liam Rosenior can draw at Luton. A small worry.
Pompey, Wednesday, and Vale, but what about Cheltenham against Crewe?
Oh, crikey. Yeah. What I'm saying is you might not need to touch the Championship is where I'm kind of going with it. Yeah.
Okay. So you're steering me away from that. Okay.
Possibly.
The final
I've been wrong before.
Right. Okay. Well, we could spend longer mulling over this, but we won't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your viewpoints on board, Benjamin. I'm going to look at the price movements, the team news, and then Saturday's bet will go up. You'll be able to tell everybody about it on your show, and hopefully we'll deliver a winner for the readers.
This is where I say comments, please. We're in a bit of a quandary, please. So get your thoughts in via the comments, and we'll have a read before the final WhatAcca newsletter goes out on Saturday. Shall we have some fun then with both teams to score? What are you thinking?
Well, last week, you might remember, Benjamin, I said that the Championship wasn't always a great place for both teams to score sort of bets. However, the majority of my picks this week are Championship related. So I'm obviously a hypocrite. So we're going to kick off Bournemouth v Stoke. Cherries have got healthy 29 goals in 14 home games. There are usually no worries with regard to Scott Parker's team finding the net at home. They've scored 5 goals in their past 2 matches, 12 shots on target combined. A chance to kick clear of the chasing pack against Stoke. Stoke have scored in 11 of the last 12 matches. They've scored 10 goals in their past 5 games. And they had consecutive 2-2 draws against Forest and Birmingham before losing 2-1 at home to Luton. Admittedly, they only scored a very late consolation goal. So that's the first pick. What do you think?
I'm on the fence, Matthew, honestly. I'll be completely honest. I'm on the fence.
Sure.
Well, first of all, we've got Rusty versus Rested again for Bournemouth, who've had their last 2 games postponed. But do you realise, I did a bit of work on this earlier, Bournemouth's last 10 games this season, 35 days. They're playing every 3.5 days because of the 2 postponements.
Yeah.
And they're going to be playing 2 consecutive 3-game weeks to see out the season, which means they need to get points on the board ahead of the international break going into April. But my worry is actually Stoke. I was quite surprised when you said they've scored in 10 of 11. And then I was sort of thinking, there've been some penalties in there. They did score in the 92nd minute as a consolation, possibly against Luton. So my only worry, and you could easily counter it by saying, oh, they'll be ring rusty, Bournemouth. My only worry is Stoke in that one. I think Bournemouth are going to be scoring. But shall we see where we're going with other ones? We'll see how much credence you're going to pay to that.
Listen, if you liked all of them a lot, then it would almost be more of a dilemma to narrow it down. So in a way,
the price would probably be awful.
Yes, I like the fact you're sifting a few out any early doors. Right, next game, Birmingham Huddersfield. Both teams to happen, yes, happened in the last 10 of the last 11 Birmingham matches. The only game it didn't happen was a crazy 3-0 win over Luton, which I can't explain. The Blues had 7 shots on target.
Neither could the Luton fans.
No. The Blues had 7 shots on target despite losing at Reading on Tuesday 2-1. I know a Birmingham fan who went to that game. They said that they were the better team at the Majeski or whatever it's called now. Lyle Taylor's got some form, 3 goals in 6. There's been both teams to score, yes, in 3 of the past 4 Huddersfield away games. Huddersfield obviously had that 2-1 win away to Fulham before 2 late goals against Cardiff on Wednesday. Dwayne Holmes is enjoying a new lease of life for the Terriers. What do you think then, Benjamin? Is this one any better than Bournemouth Stoke?
I think so. Yeah, I do. I mean, we have to give props to Huddersfield, who are outperforming everybody's expectations, aren't they? But I like Bacuna, Hernandez, and Taylor for Birmingham. I think you're onto something in this one. You got an informed team. Birmingham can't particularly defend very. Actually, I think Birmingham will only have 1 centre back fit for this game as well. So that ups the ante on Huddersfield as well. I like it. You sold me on that one.
I'm glad. I've got another Championship pick now. This one, might sound a little familiar. We're going back to my friends Nottingham Forest at the City Ground, and I'm going to put this one up as a both teams to score yes pick. Now, it might be that the best bet for this game is Nottingham Forest to win and both teams to score, which you can bet with at the bookmakers for enhanced odds. But the reason why Forest Bristol City could be both teams to score is in the past 13 Bristol City games now, we've seen both teams to score yes. We won a Tuesday 9-2 both teams to score WhatAcca featuring their game against Coventry. We know that Bristol City have got firepower with those Derby old boys, Chris Martin, Andy Vyman, and Antoine Semenyo is obviously in good form as well. Bristol City have conceded an astonishing 38 away goals in 16 games. Forest have scored in their past 5 home matches. Brennan Johnson has 5 goals in 7 matches. Tell me that this won't be both teams to score yes.
I can't do that. And I think I'm quite pleased it's come up in this list. I like it better in this list than in Forest to win, although I might fly in the face of what I've just said. The only fly in the ointment is obviously a Forest win to nil is a possibility, isn't it? But like you said, Semenyo was player of the month, wasn't he? And Vyman's going to be 10 for 10, we think, soon. 10 goals, 10 assists. And Martin will probably still be playing in 2050 in the Championship for his 17th different Championship club. So, yes, I'm more on board with this in this list than in the win list, I have to say.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, the 4th Championship match, we're going over to Bloomfield Road for Blackpool against Reading. Reading have kind of usually been our friend when it comes to both teams to score. They were part of our winning accumulator this week as well. Paul Ince obviously in caretaker charge of the Royals now. The past 6 Blackpool matches have ended both teams to score yes. And the Tangerines have scored in the last 6 matches. Gary Medine and Josh Bowler have been a constant source of goals recently. 4 of the last 5 Reading matches have ended both teams to score yes. And as I alluded to earlier, Birmingham had tons of shots on target against the Royals despite losing midweek. We know that Reading love a goal. They've got the firepower within their ranks, and we think that Blackpool and Reading could play out quite a lot of the Blackpool games have been 1-1 recently, which is just over the threshold we need, but they have always copped on that both teams to score yes. So what do you think of this one, Benjamin?
Yeah, I think I like it. Blackpool, you're going to get 4-4. You're going to get 2 up top, and you mentioned Bowley. You're going to get wingers as well. It's quite old school, isn't it? Which I think parlays in quite well. And we've already mentioned the players that, Zhao, Swift as well. And Maite can't be far off starting now. And we think with Reading generally, and again, sorry, Derby fans, you're not going to want to hear this, but if they can get Ejaria, Maite, Swift, and Zhao on the pitch, we don't think they're going to get relegated. Is the kind of simplistic answer. I would say the only fly in the ointment is a Blackpool clean sheet. I can see Blackpool scoring for sure in this one. Yeah. And I'm bigging up the Reading attack, and they have had the type of burst that has seen, if it's extended, that has seen Hull and that has seen Cardiff basically move into what we think is a safe position. So do I like it more than some of the others? We're right on a par here, but I think it's a fairly decent shout.
Yeah, I think Reading might be able to play with a little bit more freedom, dare I say, after that midweek win as well, really, and just changing the manager and Ince coming in as well. I just think
it's a new voice, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Dropping down to League One for pick number 5 on the both teams to score yes. We're going to go for Wigan against Sunderland here. I mulled over this one. I must admit, it was kind of a late addition to the list because Sunderland are obviously a box of frogs at the moment in terms of Alex Neil's gone there. He obviously needs time, but the Sunderland manager's job we know is a poison chalice. It's been a poison chalice for a long time, probably since the days of Mick McCarthy. And so the past 5 Sunderland matches have been both teams to score yes. And Sunderland, if they're going to get playoffs this season, they need to start winning matches. The Black Cats have conceded 33 goals in 17 away games. Wigan have scored in their past 4 matches. They have got one of the best sort of front attacking sort of departments in the division as well. They scored 3 late goals at Wycombe to win 3-1. So they're in good form coming into this. So we just feel as though both teams to score bet is probably the best way to play this one. What say you?
My only thing I've got to say is, would you be surprised if we're sat here at 5 on Saturday and Wigan have won 3-0?
No, because anything's possible with Sunderland, and obviously they needed a late equaliser recently, didn't they? In a 1-1 draw. So
That's a good point. Wigan do love the second half comeback as well, though, don't they? So
Yeah.
I've got no issues with Wigan and Will Keane and the job that Liam Richardson's done. I just can see, and it's a big club, and we know what the meltdown will be like from the poor old Sunderland fans if it is a big defeat to 0. But that's my only concern there, Matthew, that you could get they could just hand them their backsides. Wigan, I think, is a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I went through the League One coupon, and a lot of games, both teams to score yes is the favourite there as well, odds on, but I just couldn't make a strong case for any of them. That was probably the strongest case I could make for any of the matches. The other ones, I wasn't sure. Last pick, down to League Two, going to go for, I think this is a derby, Bristol Rovers against Exeter. Kind of derby.
You're getting a lot of trouble if you get that wrong, don't you?
We're talking about an unstoppable force versus an immovable object in this game, really, at Memorial. Bristol Rovers have won their past 3 and scored 8 goals. Joey Barton's finally got Bristol Rovers going this season. Exeter have had a bit of a break, 11-day rest stay, but previously to that, they've won 6 out of 7 and obviously scored those 4 goals against Harrogate in the last match. Say something of a derby clash. Both teams gunning for the playoffs now in the League Two as well. We can just see goals on the cards here. What do you reckon?
Well, as usual, I'll bow to your superior knowledge. Do you trust these two more than Sunderland?
Do I trust them more? I certainly think Bristol Rovers are scoring in this game for sure. Exeter, yes, I think so. I think they're both full of goals.
Interesting. I think that might go above Wigan, Sunderland on my sort of shortlist. Where are you with the whole list?
I think if we're going to swerve Championship potentially in the WhatAcca, we could potentially do an all Championship both teams to score ACCA and go Forest, Bristol City, Birmingham Huddersfield, and Blackpool Reading. I'm getting the vibes that those are your 3 fancied picks, and maybe Bristol Rovers Exeter might sneak into the list.
I'd quite like to sneak Bristol Rovers Exeter in there somewhere.
Okay.
So you're not, but if you were asking me, are Stoke going to score? And are Bristol City?
I think we're sacking off Bournemouth Stoke. There's too many. I think it's too much of an unknown.
Could even be a 0-0 that one, couldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And Michael O'Neill knows how to get the 0-0. I'm going back to his time with Northern Ireland. He knows how to be pragmatic in certain situations. I think,
especially when he's on a bad run as well.
Yeah, exactly. Steady the ship after that defeat against Luton. A draw would be a great result for Stoke away at the Vitality. I think I'm tempted to go Forest, Bristol City, Birmingham, Huddersfield, and Blackpool Reading, potentially with Bristol Rovers Exeter, shoving one of those out and drawing a line through Wigan, Sunderland for this particular bet. That's where I'd see it.
Amazing stuff, Matthew. So those are our Saturday shortlist picks. And to reiterate, we are in form here with suggestions coming in Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as we said earlier in the show. Just remind everybody, Matthew, where the ultimate picks can be found and what people need to do to go and get them.
If you go to WhatAcca.com now and sign up for the free email service, you can be guaranteed those picks as well. And also, but if you also click on the ACCA Tips link on the actual website, you can go through to that page, and that is where I or somebody in the WhatAcca team will be adding the various picks that go up for Saturday, Sunday, and beyond that as well. So you can also go onto Twitter, find us in lots of different places, but head to that website and make sure you're signed up so that you get those email reminders, because you don't want to forget to have backed a winning accumulator. That is not a great feeling.
Go and get involved. And of course, the Saturday Super Stream will be running from 2:30. We'll be reminding you, you'll still have 30 minutes to get on board as well. And we'll be reminding you what's going on. And I have my hands together and praying that we get one of these that I can brag about in next week's show that's come in during the Saturday Super Stream. When are you heading back then to the real world, Matthew?
We're heading back to Derbyshire tomorrow. We'll go stopping off in Durham to go and watch a show, and then we'll be back, and I'll be ready for the weekend football, positioned in front of the telly, in front of your brilliant afternoon show, of course. And yeah, it'll be great.
Fantastic. And you'll be able to find Matthew back in Derbyshire. You'll be able to find myself sat in this seat for 3 hours on Saturday afternoon, but you'll also have us back here next week for the Saturday shortlist. So do make sure you hit subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and maybe comment on some of our quandaries and disagreements on certain ones. What is your view in the comments if you are enjoying the show? Thank you, everybody, for joining us. That has been the Saturday shortlist. Don't forget to head over to WhatAcca.com, sign up with your email address, and enjoy the fun with us over the weekend.